I love this one.
Good.
September the 20th, 1990. My dear friends, this is an edited, reworked letter because the original deserves the writing that the computer allows. The original handwritten is so jumbled that a wonderful synopsis of the book of Job is obscured in the middle. But I wanted up front to entice you to read the original from 2,500 years ago. What I'm going to copy for you now is from a novel called Not Fade Away by Jim Dodge. To set the scene, Double Gone is riding in George's Cadillac. Double Gone is hitchhiking from San Francisco to the site where Buddy, Holly, and Richie and the Big Bopper died in a plane crash. I'll pick up the book here. Double Gone grinned. Ain't you never dug the book of Job? He slapped the Bible on the seat. Now old Job was a truly righteous cat with all this wide-flung real estate and livestock and a loving wife, not to mention 7 boss sons and 3 daughters so good-looking, make your teeth chatter. But Satan, hanging around the scene, strutting to and fro on the earth and bopping up and down, Lord spots him and says, "Hey Satan, how you like my boy Job? He loved me like he should and does no evil." Satan says, "Well sure, no shit, no wonder. You got him covered up with goodies. Take them away and Job will spit in your eye." Now the Lord knows that's jive, so he tells Satan, "Well, you go and do what you want to convince yourself. Just don't touch his flesh." No sooner said, but Satan lays it on Job hard. He sends these goons to rustle the mules. He drops a gob of fireballs on the servants and the sheep. He blows a horrible wind out of the mountains that flattens the eldest son's house where the sons and daughters parted, and they all wasted. Now what do you think Job says to all of this ruination and heavy grief? He says, "The Lord gave and the Lord taketh away. Blessed be the name of the Lord." Oh, the Lord's loving it. He tells Satan, "Hey, I told you my man was cool." But Satan come back with a big scoff. "Well, fuck, why not? Didn't hurt him none. You put some paint on Job's own frame, he'll curse your name as a rat-trick bastard. Count on it." The Lord tells Satan, "Hey, go ahead. His ass is yours. Spare his life is all." Now Satan's got it tight when it comes to putting a serious torment on folks, and he smites Job with horrible pus-bubbling boils from wig to toes. It's agony so hard it makes piss dribble down your leg. Job's wife flips out when she digs the panties in. She says, "Job, curse the Lord and die. This ain't making it." But Job don't budge. He tells her to hush her fool mouth. Tells her, "Shall we receive good at the hands of the God and not receive evil?" Then a bunch of Job's buddies show up to comfort him. Job's all naked and pus-runny and covered with ashes, and when they clock how monstrous his hurt be, none of them can speak for 7 days. But Job's boils eating him up something fierce, and he commences to snivel and badmouth being born, and generally lays it down that he's a righteous cat, never crossed the Lord, and can't believe he's done anything to deserve such bad action. But dig this close. He don't ask the Lord to end the suffering, no. All he prays for is the strength to endure it. Now that's righteous. But his buddies be getting on his shit, saying stuff like, "Job, my man, you must have sinned else the Lord wouldn't be on your case." Or, "You getting worked over for thinking Job more righteous than the Lord." Job calls them miserable comforters. But he won't cop to being a sinner because it ain't the truthful fact. His buddies all whipping on him hard, telling him to repent and trust the Lord, and Job jawing right back at Elihu and Eliphaz and them other cats to bug off. He ain't got nothing to repent for. Always trusted and obeyed the Lord, and near as he can dig, he's getting fucked over for no reason. Then all of a sudden, bam! The Lord's voice comes roaring out the whirlwind, and he gets down. What he lays on Job and his buddies runs like this. "Maybe you getting fucked over, but hey, you mind the fuck. I'm the Lord. You get whatever you get, and what you get is yours. High times and blues, good luck and tough shit. I gotta maintain a harmony so far beyond your experience that it's fucking pathetic." But just to make sure, the Lord lays it down in all his beautiful sweetness and light, and he puts it right in their faces. "Do you know the treasures of the snow? Do you make the tender buds open and bloom? Is it you that feeds the baby lion? You that makes sure the ravens have food or divides the water so them big old hippos have rivers to roll in? Can you bind the sweet influences of the Pleiades or loose the bands of Orion? Oh man, I love that. He's talking stars, man, and the Lord goes wailing on. Is it you that lets the heart understand? Do you give yourself life? Do you really think you know better than me what's what and what ain't? That you got more than a few pitiful clues about what it's all? What I am? Well, get hip. No fucking way. Now, when a man lays it down, liable is not to bounce back up in his face, but when the Lord lays it down, it stays down. And Job, he copped on the spot saying, I was blind, but now I see. Do what thou wilt. I can dig it. So the Lord healed his boils like that, and no scars neither, and give Job back double all his camels and she-ass and other livestock, plus 10 more children. 7 boys so tall and strong they could have whooped ass on the Celtics, and 3 daughters so fine you immediately jumped to hard. And if that wasn't fair enough, he let Job live another 540 years so he could play with all his grandchildren and their children, and on like that for many sweet and swinging generations till Job cashed out, being old and full of days. By chance, I came to this version of Job a few days after I mailed out the letter dated February 1988, in which I had paraphrased the book of Job. This was a wonderful counterpoint to my dry summary, and I was going to send it along as soon as the flood of commentary evoked by the letter I had written died down. But believe it if you can, there was no mention by anyone about Job, and I had forgotten about sharing it when I went to write the last Labor Day morning. This year, for the most part, has been very temperate. Spring coming early and lasting uncommonly long, with only about 3 weeks of power Fresno summer from mid-July to mid-August. Of course, those 3 weeks were mind-numbing the way Fresno is defined, hot. But it ended and never came back, and this morning on the patio the air is crisp with promises of fall. I sat without moving, breathing in the morning. The kids were asleep, Amy in the bed she loves, and the boys, along with a couple of sleepover friends, sacked out in bags scattered around the living room. Tina is just beginning to move around in the bedroom behind my shoulder. A mower starts up far away. I begin writing, and it's pleasurable, almost sensuous. The surge of creation, wonder at what flows from the pen, the thought of you, your imagined thought and reaction, and of what an eclectic bunch of readers you are. The morning is glorious, beautiful in every sense, and I want to share it with you. Yet, describing the scene and the texture and the smells and the taste would run on for more pages than anyone wants, so I will opt for one sense and write what I hear. Fresno is a town of hundreds of thousands of people spread across a flat plain that brooks no barrier to the free movement of sound, save distance, so there's always a metropolitan hum in the background. The grind and rumble and buzz of highway and freeway and local traffic can be heard from every quadrant of the great world. More specific accents, a siren traveling north, an airplane combustion motor arcing from north to east across the sky, come and go with such irregular regularity that it's like the tide on the beach at Cayucas. It's always the same, always different, always there. My pen carried my thoughts into an ocean of sound, and water called my attention back. The table where I write is at the north end of the house, where shade cast by the house and the walnut tree, pruned into an umbrella shape, if you can imagine the spines all blown up into the air and covered with leaves, will provide shade for my seat and table the day long. Water tinkling from a hose and the baby tears around the roots of the orange tree that arches over the patio just out of sight around the house corner sound like a gentle brook cascading over dappled rocks, or like the plash of falling water in the garden of an Arab prince, a splash that has sounded for thousands of years, from the dawn of history, a splash meant to evoke streams, rills, oases, memories, intuitions, ritual and magic, the ocean, and all feelings and yearnings. Now the pen lures my mind to an endless sea lapping against the awareness, but the lapping is actually the slapping of the dog's collar, like boy channel marker clapping alerts for the daydreaming sailor. And that brings me back to the paper in the yard. The dog has stations at each corner of the fence, plus a few choice spots where knotholes in topography allow his noise access to a wider world. Dogly-doodles call him to run station to station, jangling his tags and barking to announce himself as a cat or some other event of the day demands. He returns to sleep in the sunny grass, and I return to this page, thinking of sound and water. The neighborhood is like a bay, a backwater with its own tidal rhythmic sounds. There's a radio playing in the far northwest and another in the distant east or south. There's a beat, but it's too indistinct to tell if it's American or Latin or Asian. Probably a guy washing his car or working on it, or young girls flirting with the neighborhood. A little dog barks from the house next across the alley, and I picture the little old man owner. Then there's children's shouts and gaieties. This area is alive with youth, roll in from both ends of Liberty Street and in front as well as from other blocks around. Some voices I know, and the thought comes, familiar voices mean home port. And then, home is where the heart is. And then, home is the hunter, home from the hill, home is the fisherman, home from the sea. And I laugh aloud at this train of thought, thinking I've got water on the brain, but this yard is a safe harbor. A leaf, dead for some reason amid thousands of vibrant green brothers and sisters, falls from a high branch of the walnut tree and draws my attention as it rustles and brushes its way from leaf to leaf to branch to leaf so sonorously that when it comes to rest almost at my feet, it seems to send out ripples of sound to the other trees. Between my neighbors and mine, there are many trees, and they circle the grass of my yard like a forest around a green pond, with fruit and color and smell and form as well as sound. The walnut, which I have pruned into its peculiar shape, has a tree fort nestled in its core, roofed by the umbrella spines raised to the sky. Sometimes it spills the giggles of children, and it shades a swing set that often meters children's laughters. Hanging from various branches are a rope and hoop swing, a rope ladder that trails one end on the ground for the dog to chew, and a wind chime that has many a merry trinkle when children swing or the dog worries the rope. Now, as I write, there are no children in the yard, and the dog sleeps in the sun, and the air moves just enough to be called a breeze, but too gently to sound the chime. In fact, the wind is too slight to move any plant except the bamboo. Sometimes the wind comes to this tree, then that, then another, and you can follow the current with your eyes and ears. But now, the giant bamboo never stops. The first mockingbird shifts his perch and his tune, flying to the highest dead branch of the troubled old tree across the alley, a dramatic and wonderful perch, and he throws his song at the world. The jay screams again, now from top the fence near the alley, and a group of intense house finches breaks from the pecan to the power line to the bamboo and away down the alley, chittering and scolding and bold. The birds don't care about me or the sea, and except for the flights of seagulls that occasionally wheel across the sky early morning or late afternoon, birds don't evoke the sea for me, having a different mystery. But my ears were picking out other birds in different perches and environments around my seat as I wonder how to relate birds to this letter when the whir of an appliance motor comes out of the window over my shoulder. I'm quite close to the house, and it plunges me back into a watery motif. I picture a river of sound flowing from the front of the house, little tributary sounds from Amy in her room and the tap in the bathroom mixing with the TV hum, the cartoons the boys are conveniently spread in sleeping bags around the TV in the front room. And then the sound is flowing through the kitchen. Someone's making a snack. And then it courses through my utility room, gathering the slosh of the washing machine, and then spilling down the steps and through the narrow channel between the closet and the bathroom to spread and fill my bedroom like a big deep pool in a mountain river. Then the flood is pushed by the toilet's flush out the window, across my shoulder, down my arm to this paper. Awash in this sea of beautiful morning, imagining the sound flowing from room to room, I picture it passing through my bedroom, and my imaginary attention is accosted in my room by the hotai on a bookshelf, and the watery image dries up. I'll tell you why, but first I'll copy out number 12 of the 101 Zen Stories by Paul Reps. This is, anyone walking about Chinatown in America will observe statues of a stout fellow carrying a linen sack. Chinese merchants call him Happy Chinaman or Laughing Buddha. This hotai lived in the Tang dynasty. He had no desire to call himself a Zen master or gather disciples about him. Instead, he walked the streets with a big sack into which he would put gifts of candy, fruit, or donuts. These he would give to children who gathered about him to play. He established a kindergarten of the streets. Once, as he was about his play work, another Zen master happened along and inquired, "What is the significance of Zen?" Hotai immediately plopped his sack down on the ground in silent answer. "Then," answered the first, "what is the actualization of Zen?" At once the happy Chinaman swung his sack over his shoulder and continued on his way. Now, I've read all the 101 stories a number of times, and many pleased me very much, but this one always left me wondering, and as with Job, if it hadn't been associated by long tradition with the wisdom of the ancients, I'd have simply shrugged it off as too weird to consider. But lately, he's been riding with me when I cruise on my bike. It goes back to last fall when my job moved me to a new office. For some reason, I began to add pounds. Until now, I'm carrying as much weight as ever in my life. I have girth, substance, and presence, or I'm fat, and people who have not seen me in some time, which has happened a lot with a change of office, notice something. Such an acquaintance asked me if I'd quit riding the bike, and I, all innocent, launched into a spiel about how enamored I was of bike riding, and especially with the fresh territory opened by coming to a different part of town, and I probably would have kept on rhapsodizing, except something in his body language made me understand that his question had nothing to do with bike riding, but was rather an oblique comment on my size. Actually, I didn't figure that out until the next person asked almost the identical question, and I understood right away. And the image I have crudely drawn now to give you an idea flashed into my head. Me, belly out and laughing to be cruising on my bike, thinking of Hotai, belly out and laughing to think that anyone would confuse what I do on a bicycle with exercise. And I don't know if you can even see this, but this is where the letter all comes together, because as I read Rep's story of Hotai, I picture him and Double Gone walking together, being accosted by an intellectual true believer who asks, "What's the meaning of life?" Hotai drops his sack on the road, and Double Gone says, "Don't try to understand, just follow." The righteous ones can't accept this as an answer and presses to get the real true lowdown and persist. I mean, what does Job mean? Hotai shoulders his bag and they walk off, Double Gone telling Hotai they should come by my house for barbecue. Perhaps the best thing to flow out of this letter, however, is the drawing that I attach now by my daughter Amy, 11, and I copy here for you. Are these letters fun for you? I mean, I'm digging it. I just don't want to die without thinking some thoughts. Can you understand? What does it mean? I mean, really, I want you to come and sit with me in the garden where I try to suck in life's nectar. It's sweet, and I find myself from practice fat, happy, and often seated in the yard, wrapped in the sea of neighborhood noise. Dare you come? Suppose it leaves you happy and fat. What if you don't try to understand, just follow, and it leads to fat? Would you follow if the Spirit led you to a bakery? Well, that's it from Liberty Street. With peace and love, Eric. And this is the picture my daughter drew. It says, Double Gone and Hotai are on their way to barbecue when they come across young Amy, and Hotai gives her a gift. And that was the picture that my daughter drew.